Hello, everybody. Talking about the Creepy Archives, Volume 1. Um, I got back into this because, or I should say, my interest was renewed in Creepy magazine. Because literally, a few months ago, I was in a mainstream bookstore and I saw Volume 4. Hardcover. It was all wrapped up, but it looked really great. I was like, wow. I hadn't thought about Creepy in a while, but it just looked so fabulous, and I wanted to get it. It was kind of pricey though. I'll be honest, and that was the only one they had too. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get back into this sort of stuff, I want to start at the beginning. So I had to kind of hunt around, and I did find a discounted edition, I guess you want to say, of Volume One. And so I ordered that, and I got that. Like I said, I was really excited to get it, and I'm really happy that I have it. Going back and reading the stories, I'll admit, some of the stories are kind of thin. Like I said, they're just little short stories, short little horror stories, twist ending and thing like stuff like that. But some of the stories you don't even get like a twist ending. It's just I hate to say it, it's somebody kind of hacking it out there, and it says something about something that one of the better stories is a story that basically is a retelling of the Frankenstein story, only with a robot or whatever. I mean, they pretty much acknowledge that's where they got it from, but that's actually one of the few stories that has like deeper ideas and things like that going on here. A lot of stories, the twist is about the twist is basically he's not the monster, I am. I'm not the monster, dear. You are. Dun 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 dun. I shot him with a silver bullet. How come he didn't die? Because he's not a werewolf. He's a vampire. Dun 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 dun. Just stuff like that. I would say though some of the better stories here are written by Archie Goodwin. Archie Goodwin is a guy that's been, well, he's not with us anymore, but he's a guy that had been in comics for years, for decades, and he actually developed a reputation for not just being a good professional, well, actually for being, the consummate professional, being a good writer, but and also being a great editor. Um, you always hear if you ever read any like interviews with comic book professionals and people like that, invariably somebody's got some story to tell about how Jim Shooter over at Marvel screwed them over, or this guy over at DC Comics gave them a shaft, or somebody owed somebody some money and never got paid and things like that. But nobody ever has like bad stories to tell about like Archie Goodwin. I mean, obviously, of course, I never met the guy or whatever, but I don't know. I just think that's cool. I think it's cool that there's somebody that's revered for being not only being good at his craft, and not only just being a professional, but being who's known for being a stand-up guy. And quite frankly, I think we need more of that just in the world in general, not just in comics and horror and fantasy stuff. But anyway, back to creepy. Like I said, the better stories are by Archie Goodwin, but the art, I would say, it's worth getting these editions just for the art alone. The art is fantastic. It is marvelous. It is great. You got guys in here like Frank Frazetta, who's a legend, Reed Crandall, Jack Davis, another guy who's a legend. You have seen Jack Davis work, even if you don't know who Jack Davis is. Jack Davis' work has been everywhere since during the 70s, since the 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you didn't see Jack Davis in Mad Magazine, you saw him in some other comic book. If you didn't see him in some comic book, you saw him doing like movie posters. If you didn't see his art in a movie poster, you saw it in Time Magazine or TV Guide or wherever. That guy, that's a legend. That guy is a giant. Anyway, you've got art by Joe Orlando. You've got art by Al Williamson, another giant from his time. Alex Toth, that's another guy who you've seen if you haven't seen his work, you've seen his design. If you like old cartoons from back in the day, Alex Toth did the designs for like, I think he did Space Ghost. He did like the Herculoids. I think he did the initial designs on oh man, Thundar the Barbarian. He did the redesigns on the original Super Friends cartoon from the 70s or whatever. That's another dude who is just, underrated. You've got Gray Morrow, you've got Angelo Torres. So these guys are just marvelous. All the art is in black and white, but it wouldn't be improved at all by color. It is great just the way it is. I mean, you just look at it and you just drink it in. You've got these fabulous covers, um, by all these artists, these painted covers that just, once again pulls you into that kind of horror world, where it's dark, it's mysterious, it's foreboding. Of course, you got the little logo with the kind of dripping blood, letters and things like that. So, it's worth it just on the art alone. The stories, they're not that deep. They're not big character things. They're not social political analysis of what's wrong with society or anything like that. Like I said, they're just little horror stories about vampires and werewolves and zombies coming back to get their revenge and stuff. But the art is marvelous. So anyway, I would recommend this comic to if you can find it cheap, definitely get it. Definitely get it. But it's up to you. How much you want to spend on it. But I would say it's worth it to if you got the $50 or whatever to shell out, do it. I would really hope that Dark Horse, who's kind of repackage these things. I really hope they come out with a paperback edition, a trade paperback edition, just so that more people could get hip to the art. I know they now own. Well, I know Dark Horse is putting out the Savage Sword of Conan, which was originally published by Marvel Comics, back in the mid '70s and things, And I figure, if they can do that in a cheap way, they've got it on newsprint, but the stories are there for people who want it. I think they could do the same for Creepy, because I think this stuff really deserves a bigger, larger audience. I would, recommend, this stuff to people who are comic book fans, obviously, people who are horror fans. Definitely, if you like old monsters, if you like horror films, if you're interested in, even if you're not that interested in, the genre, but you're somebody who appreciates visual art and things like that, definitely check it out. If you're somebody that, who's into comic book art and you're into stuff like, I don't know, Jim Lee or whatever, check out a guy like Reed Crandall. That's somebody who could do some cross hatching, and like I said, his cross hatching in black and white is so rich. It just puts a lot of other folks to shame. That's all. I'm not knocking Jim Lee or anybody that's modern, because I like all that stuff. I grew up on Jim Lee and all that stuff too. But I mean, this stuff is just marvelous. Okay, so once again, I got to thank you guys very much for listening. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, if I'm right, if you want to turn me on to some other stuff, if you think I'm just out there, leave a comment or, whatever. Okay, once again, thank you very much, and you guys have a great one.